if we don't have something on a piece of paper. So if we just make that a common practice, John, if that going forward. Is there a motion to accept that as I'll make that a motion. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. So that's what we're doing. Did I just hear the mayor? No. Okay.
Oh, it's Kevin, I think.
Okay. Hi,
Yeah,
Kevin.
I'm here.
All right.
Mayor's here. So we have a
Oh, there he
quorum.
is.
All right.
So we have a quorum.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I forgot to turn my camera on earlier.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda would be a report from the marketing committee. No Sandy?
No, Sandy.
Anybody talking for Sandy? Okay. Well, we'll pass that, and if she shows up, we'll let her talk. I did understand that that Seafair is officially on again. Is that right, Bear? Did you hear that?
I had not.
Yeah, I've heard they're doing planning meetings,
Yeah,
I think.
I saw a note on that the other day. Look,
They sent an email out a couple 3 days ago that said it is on.
yeah, they're looking for volunteers, of course. All right, John, have you got? We'll move on into technical committee reports. John, what you got?
Okay. From the previous meeting, we have we're still working on getting a price to irrigate the rest of the History Center yard. We had a few people call, and nobody so far we've been able to nail down and get a price. Hines is going to start to paint the pavilion ceiling. It's at 49. Everybody should have a copy of that proposal. That will start Thursday.
Oh, good.
So he's gonna power wash it down and gonna paint the ceiling over. So that'll start on Thursday. Everybody, go ahead.
Question. I always seem to have to ask this question. My memory's not what it used to be. How long has that pavilion been in place?
Those pavilion and the bridge were built in 2014, so they're almost 7 years old.
Okay.
We had our grand openings in the fall, I think like November of 2014. So they're in the fall.
I remember the grand opening. It was even colder than it is today.
I was about to say that. You know, I certainly remember the day, not necessarily the date, but I remember that.
I remember the temperature.
Yeah.
Everybody should have received I just should have gotten it. I just got it at like 9 o'clock. A proposal from York Bridge to make the repairs on the bridge. I've been at them now for months trying to get them to provide a proposal to address the rotting of one of the girders. And there's a rot hole up there. And so their proposal is to come in and tear the bridge apart, rebuild it with new material. And the bridge went out of warranty in 2017, May of 2017. So they're proposing to us we provide the labor, the porta-john, and a dumpster. And they'll tear the bridge apart and provide the material and rebuild the bridge. And so the labor cost on that would be $16,000. They're also proposing to, because of our climate and pressure treated lumber as it is these days, to do the decking and the rail caps in this composite. It's called Wherever. And that's an $11,000 upgrade. So I would like to get a motion to either approve this or move forward with it and get this done between now and the end of this, probably in spring. By spring, we'll have it finished.
John, are you proposing the upgrade?
What's that?
Are you liking the upgrade? The price didn't seem too bad.
Nope, 11 grand for that. And it's a lot of, it's 2 by It'll all be 2x material and is wherever material product is lasts for a long, long time. So that'll be something we won't have to address going forward for a while, long while.
I have sort of a personal interest in this. I'm having to redo my deck at my house, and I mentioned that product to the guy who does the decking, and he said, "Look," he said, "I'll warrant my materials as well as my labor, except I won't warrant anything." But he gave me a number. AVEC, I think, was the name of it.
Yeah.
He said, "There's too many come and take it offers out there that sound real good on paper." And I had sent him the wherever information, but he said, I'm nervous. So okay. That being said, you might want to get them to give you at least one other quote other than the wherever, and I'll send you the name of this company that Smart Doc.
Yeah, he's using AZAC, and that's one of the composite products.
Yeah.
And then there's also Trek, but I think this is more of a commercial application versus a residential application.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
Well, look good. I mean, the sales literature was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
this is Earl. I would point out something that we found out on the Cove Harbor deck is that composite stuff in the winter shrinks, and then it expands in the summer, and so you'll see separation. But apparently, that's a common thing that happens to it because of the nature of the product. So we could, if we put it in now, in the cool weather, actually, it may buckle a little bit.
They most of these it look at like on a pavilion where we have a Trex deck.
Mm-hmm.
There's a spacer that you put in there that for this type of product, this type of purpose for the expansion and contraction. If you look at that Trex deck on the pavilion right now, there's little small holes in there, and that is to accommodate for the expansion in the summertime.
Yeah, we noticed ours because ours were end to end, not crosswise like you would have on a deck, and so it's going to be just a lot more noticeable.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, I would like I'm proposing a motion on this to repair this bridge. We're talking to the transfer station. I'm not sure if we'll be able to work it out because of the size of their dumpsters and the size of their equipment. We probably do more damage to the ground and stuff with those big dumpsters and those heavy trucks than we would be saving by using a smaller dumpster, paying for it.
John, I'm prepared to make a motion on this, but let me give a brief editorial comment. It's a little disturbing that this thing failed to this extent in just 7 years to me.
I do.
I agree to that too.
And my thought was we got three choices. We can fix it because it is potentially a safety issue, if not a safety issue today. We can tear the thing down, forget about it, or just let it go. And I don't think the last two are viable options. It's a pretty good bite, but I guess they're providing a lot of the stuff and we're paying for the labor, and then the upgrade I think makes sense if they know what they're doing and installing it. My understanding is there's some art to installing that stuff, as you just talked.
Right.
Having said all that, I move that we go ahead and accept this and get on with it.
I'd like to amend that motion, if I may. I'd like to propose that we approve the repair of the bridge at a price not to exceed $28,000. That's $1,000 more than their quote is, and that gives you a little wiggle room, John, so we don't have to come back for extras that are minor in nature.
No objection from me.
What did we pay for that bridge to start with?
I think it was around $80,000.
That sounds,
Go back and look it up.
well, that sounds like this pretty reasonable price to take that thing apart and rebuild it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I would
they got to mobilize their machines, and they got they're going to have forklifts and a crane or something to mobilize all that stuff to bring it in.
You might want to ask them what other materials they've considered other than the wherever, or
Wherever.
wherever, where they. But if they haven't, I mean, if that's their standard product, okay, and they've got good experience with it. But if they don't, then we need to make sure that they've covered their bases.
The other,
So
go ahead, finish up. I'm
So I
sorry.
guess I'm going to cease my yakking here and say that the amendment that I issued that I'm proposing is the same as Dee said, but with the caveat that it's a not to exceed price of $28,000.
Yeah, that's fine. We can work with that.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 0. Okay, great. What's next, John?
Okay. Other than that, everything else is in pretty good shape. Russ is starting to do some manual maintenance and ceiling draw decks and walkways and rails and stuff like that. So we're out there working on things. Things are getting taken care of.
Okay. Did anyone show up to talk about birding?
No.
Y'all were pretty good birding discussion when I signed
Uh-huh.
off.
I can
So
pull, I can pull a little bit in. We had and I won't do it later. We had the grand opening, which Sandy and the chamber helped us with, out at the Cove Harbor, and it's finished. If you want to see a lot of really great bird pictures that David Sykes took on each one of the covered pavilions, they're there.
Cool.
Helps us educate ourselves to be birders, which I'm not. So I can actually identify now 8 birds instead of 4. And but yeah, they're beautiful pictures, and there's some other educational stuff. But we finally closed out that project and had the opening, and we had a really great response. And thanks,
Are
Sandy,
those pictures on Facebook?
and
or
Evelyn for helping us out. I do not know if Phil put those on or not on Facebook.
I will say that birding is pretty good right now.
Yeah, it's great with these changing tides out at the boardwalk. You've got shallow where you got all the little dowingers and things that people like, and that are little peckers in the sand. And then when the tides are high, where the tides were high, we had all the big birds. So it was nice variation with the tide.
We
We
also
did get the Bird City application turned in. There were a few things we were lacking. We don't have the cat policy to stay inside, that type stuff. But overall, I think it's going to be okay. But we haven't heard back, and I don't know how long it'll take to hear back from that.
I'm sorry, Sandy, what was the defect or the thing that we didn't?
There were several criteria that you had to meet. One being that you had to have some sort of a policy about like the stray cats and that type thing. And that's something we don't have. In fact, we're all the way on the other end with the cat rescue and that type of stuff. So we'll see.
Well, cat rescue helps because it gets rid of the stray cats. Hopefully.
Somewhat, but you have to have it was criteria that we weren't able to meet. I can't remember exactly what all it was, but that was one of the things. And then there was one other, and I don't remember what it was. But other than that, I think we were in pretty good shape.
Sandy, are they asking for a catch and release? Is that what they're asking for? A catch and release policy?
No, you had to. In fact, I think it was more just the catch.
Oh.
It's almost like anti-cat was.
Well, there's pretty good debate going on right now on my neighborhood website talking about either catch, neuter, and release, or don't do anything.
That's what that policy is.
Yeah.
Catch, neuter, and release.
This was more, the cats had to be indoors.
Okay.
Yeah, you might talk with Gailey Opum, whose program that is, I think, with catching the cats, neutering them, and then releasing them. The long-term goal, and Gailey is one of the ramrods of the Bird and Nature Club. So she's a, you know,
Do you
looking
have a
at,
contact for her? I
get
don't
that.
know if if we fail for that reason, and maybe we won't because we met most of the criteria anyway.
I
But do
can
you
get
have
it.
a contact for her that you could send me?
Yeah, I've
I
got
do
one,
not, but
Sandy. I'll
Pearl
send it
does.
to you.
Okay,
I've got
thanks.
one, yeah.
And you know, that program, the big picture of that program is that if you release neutered cats, then you lower the population of the cats that are out there that are wild, that are eating up all the birds. So it is aimed at sort of a bird city issue, just not quite the way that they want you.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Sandy, I didn't, I'm glad you snuck in. We'll let you talk about marketing in a few minutes. Let's go on to history.
You bet. We're
Deanna, you want,
continuing.
go ahead. You want to talk about anything? Volunteers?
No, we just have a cleanup on Saturday.
Connie Hager cleanup on Saturday. That's Deanna's here.
We have a cleanup from 8 to 11, I believe, at Connie Hanger.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. There you
And
go.
I wanted to mention and shout out to John Strothman that Deanne Williams, who heads up Keep Aransas County Beautiful, is a newly minted master naturalist. And
Oh, good for her.
she has gotten a group together that has been cutting the dead sunflower stalks off of Pathways properties
Right.
and working with coastal bend bays and estuaries to provide that as nesting material for the roosting structures that they have on these rookery islands. I think today or tomorrow, they're also going to be doing that to supplement the nesting material under Ben Oaks rookery as well.
Right.
So the herons aren't having to fly all over to find their material. And Sandy, I mean, in terms of any kind of supplement on Bird City things, that may be worth following up with Deanne on that project.
I think we did pretty well on that part of it. And Deanne did help us with some of this. So
Yeah, it's a nice way of killing two birds with one stone, where it helps clean up the Pathways properties of all the dead sunflower stalks, and it goes to a beneficial use for the birds.
Right. She did that last week, Wednesday, Thursday, and I think they took them out on Friday.
Yeah, she has another one scheduled today and tomorrow, I think, to go to Estes Flats and under Ben Oak Rookery.
Oh, cool.
Okay,
All right.
Thanks, Bob. All right, let's see, where are we? Pam, you were going to talk to us?
Sure. First, I'd like to let Mary Lesser talk. She's still on because this program that they're just talking about was happening at Connie Hager as well. Mary, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, they were over at Connie Hager last week, and I spoke with Deanne, and she explained the program to me, and we really appreciate it. However, she told me they were waiting for a paper to allow them to take the dead sunflowers over to the rookery, and the dead sunflowers are still there. So I'm hoping whoever needs to accomplish that gets that to her so she can proceed, because it's a great program, and we really appreciate everyone that came over. In fact, it started to pour down the day they did it last week, but they got a lot done. So thanks.
And there were two other people assigned to really walk the trails at Connie Hager and define what needed to be done. And they were coming from master naturalists. So that was another big thing, wasn't it? Or were they? Yeah, weren't they coming from master naturalists?
Yeah, and they're doing something with Texas Parks and Wildlife, the Loops program, where Texas Parks and Wildlife is going to assist, I think, with Castro also, with helping us identify some needs and possibly giving us some funds to address those needs. So that's it's a good working environment with everybody over here right now. So we hope to get a lot more done with cleanup and et cetera. And thanks Pathways again for helping us at Connie Hager.
I think one of the things that they were really looking at was accessible trails. So that was something that, we only have some trails at Connie Hager that are wheelchair accessible or easily accessible that way. So they were looking at some of that, which is, you know, another piece of what we ought to be considering. Yeah.
The program is it's sort of an adopt a trail program, so that you get people who are assigned as kind of a sponsor for a particular trail type area, and you go through at least once or twice a year and audit audit a series of questions from Parks and Wildlife about signage and accessibility and that sort of thing. And then that helps with manpower issues for Parks and Wildlife to keep track of the places that are in greatest need, to be able to devote funds and set priorities and things like that. So it's a pretty good program. Master Naturalists just kicked it off or adopted the program, I guess, in the last 3 or 4 months. So there's kind of a gradual buy-in for particular properties, and a number of the Pathways properties are on that list, including Tule East and Castro and Connie Hagar, and I think probably Ivy Lane.
Okay, moving on to history. At the History Center, we're still busy. We took down our Christmas trees, and we're working with Peacemakers by the Bay to put up a quilt exhibit. It's called Quilting During a Pandemic. And so they were looking at the history of what's been done. It's really interesting. In the 1918 pandemic, people started quilting and doing patterns for related especially to the Red Cross, et cetera. So there's a lot of history there. We'll open that on Saturday with coffee and donuts at 10 o'clock outside. And we certainly welcome you all to join us. What I really want to emphasize is the sesquicentennial kickoff event, which will be on the January 30th, the Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock on Saturday, January 30th. And we will be unveiling the sesquicentennial monument that's already been prepared. That it's a stone that matches the centennial stone. And once the courthouse is completed, this stone will go to the courthouse. At this time, it's at the History Center, just resting, waiting for that. So we hope you'll join us for the sesquicentennial. Betty, you want to say anything else about that?
I would like to contribute to the, we have just now, the people who did the removal of the Copano Fishing Pier, Russell Marine, a gentleman by the name of Richard Prince, got very involved when Pam and I went over and talked to him and said, we'd like to have a mini replica of the bridge to be put at the History Center. And so he said, well, I think I can do that. And he and his crew got together and put a mini replica that is now standing at the History Center that I would love for you all to go see, because it has the pylons, it has the decking, and it has the railing, and it has a light.
Wow.
So it's quite an addition. We wanted something saved of that fishing pier, and so we're very delighted. And Dee, it's right next to your shellcrete, and it's also right next to our Rocky Point limestone.
Right.
And Pam, what was the other? There was another limestone piece.
Right, from a Brendreth house.
From the
we had somebody already stop by while they were working on it and said they were going home and getting their fishing pole.
Well, how fun. So yeah, we're working hard on the sesquicentennial. As you know, it's going to be June 12th through the 20th. And we're working on all kinds of fun. I take my friend's word, fun, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great event, and we're really looking forward to it.
Very
Sounds great.
cool. I got to say one thing about history. We are planning the plaza, for the downtown anchor, which will be the courthouse and the city hall. And I would like to, we got these historical markers that are here at our office. plus what you just mentioned that you want to put in the plaza. And
Mhm.
at some point, I'd like, Betty and Pam, I'd like to get a little input from you on, we can talk about the locations and all that stuff and what we have. Maybe have you guys a little bit involved in that process.
Absolutely, John. Those are important. We've got an issue with THC right now that we have to resolve on removal of markers. And so we just have to kind of do some history, some background due diligence on where we can put those in court. These being in courthouses right now is not, is under state legislative rulings. And so we're learning more about that.
Okay, and
So let us get with you as soon as we know.
one other issue that is the marker that it's a train depot property that we're probably going to have to relocate that over onto the property that will be given theirs. So if you all, I mean, just as long as you know that if there's a problem about moving it over 10 feet or something like that, I just need to know that.
I think we have to let THC know that it's going to be moved. Pam and Jennifer Day's on with us
Right.
too.
Yeah.
So is there something that we have to do with THC to get that approved to move it? I know I had to when I moved the Centennial marker from the highway from 35 over to county property. So I don't know. I would assume if we move it, we have to let them know.
Yeah, I'd like to be involved in that, obviously, moving it on to the ARCAD donated property.
There's going to be a sidewalk in front of that property on the
Right.
in the right of way. So I just want to make sure the marker is put in the right spot in front of the train depot.
Right, right. Yeah, we're planning on rebuilding the old porch, which is on the Magnolia side. So we really need to consider that when we consider placement of the marker.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item has to do with trails.
In addition to what we said before, this is just more Aransas first stuff, but I got a grant to put a parking lot and signage and some trails out at the 105 acres that we obtained off of Seaside Loop in 35. So that's upcoming. And we're going to have an application for another one to finish out the Aransas Woods property on the south side because it's still pretty rough. Ryan Peewas has done just a super job with the north side with trails. He's got Boy Scouts that have put GPS markers and trail signs and loop signs, and so you won't get lost in the deep woods. And cleaned out this intersection, so it'll be a great observation birding site on the upper part, not next to the water, in addition to the water sites that we had. So those are the trail activities that we've got going right now to expand ourselves.
Okay.
John, what about, do you want to talk about?
Well, let me go back one more thing. We still need to try to get with the state that we talked about, and I think in November, to see if we can get an easement on that right away from 3035 out to the Copano Bay Bridge, and at least try to look at an easement there for the future trail that we had in the original Pathways project.
Okay.
Roads.
They're never going away. Text dot right away, huh, Earl?
That's right. Well, that was the basis for this whole Pathways trail idea, so I think we can't give it up. That'd be a through the county trail that everybody in the county would then have access on the north side of town, and it'd really be away from any other streets or anything, so it'd be great.
I know that they've had it up for sale for years now, and I don't think they've come off their price at all.
Well, no, we didn't talk about buying it necessarily. We talked about would they give us an easement on it, so that easement is there if they ever sell it.
Okay.
All right. How about our projects, John?
Okay, the Southern Trail project, the Commissioners Court approved the payment of the additional $80,000 It should have gone out last month. It didn't. It'll go out here in the next couple of weeks. We have to go to the next court. I got a call from TxDOT. So when that payment goes out, then the schedule will be presented. I was under the impression it had gone out.
Ms. Matlock, I think you had something to add to talk about the South Loop.
Yes, I did. I live on Live Oak, as several of you probably know. We built our home, and then last, I guess, November, we got a letter from the long-term recovery stating they were going to put in the walking path, a 6-foot wide sidewalk. Well, I pulled the plans and specs and everything and took a look at it. Had my son take a look at it. Both of them, one's an engineer, the other one is does construction management. And I have talked to, between Sherry Gaines, Taylor Gaines and we've talked to every residential property owner, and I have not found a single residential property owner that is in agreement with this. There, especially when you cross market, there's going to be drainage issues on top of already drainage issues. Some of the concerns of the people that live there are that, the sidewalk's going to be up like in their front yard. And I understand the easement is wide, but when I looked at the downtown plan, as far as that, when they talked about sidewalks, the only place they talked about improving the sidewalks and walking path and stuff was downtown, from the ski basin to downtown, the Veterans Park and all of that. They talked about improving it on Austin Street. There was no mention of Magnolia. And as I said, November was really, I think that's when we got the letter. It was really the first time that anyone had any information on this. I understand that y'all posted it in the paper or whatever and weren't required to have any citizen input. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have, but I think that last time it's my understanding y'all had about 12 people who were against this at your last meeting. And I've since talked to neighbors, and Sherry has as well. And the answers that I got, I talked to Mr. Strothman, and the answers that both of us got were not satisfactory. I talked to the engineer for TxDOT on the project, and he was extremely disappointed that the public and the homeowners, second or first, living here, were not included in the process. For me, I don't take the Rockport pilot, so that's my fault. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people rely on all their news to come from online, which I prefer to seek my news online because I can get a variety of different opinions. So my concern is that I have, and we've already done it, we got a permit from the city to put in a asphalt area in the right of way for additional parking. When I questioned on how this was going to be done, as far as were there driveway bibs, concrete driveway bibs going to be put in like they were, like when TxDOT, when they do Market Street, they put in a concrete driveway bib, even if the property is undeveloped. And I was told no. The engineer for TxDOT assured me that the project would be, that they would work with homeowners and stuff, but I'm not sure that. I'm really concerned about the drainage. And when I was told that that was the city's problem, I was a little more concerned because you already have, right now and yesterday, there was water standing in many people's yards. And from the downtown plan, best I could tell is they were recommending putting plants and things that would help with that drainage and not flood people's yards, and would, try to drain it where it needs to go. And that is our main concern when you start putting in a 4-inch curb. Water that was previously standing on the street now is still going to stand there when there's no drainage. So you can only slope so much for drainage, which is what we did. My concern is I didn't want to put in my asphalt driveway until I knew what y'all were going to do. And because I wanted my driveway, my parking to be the same elevation and the same slope grade as the sidewalk, and or the concrete bib, which TxDOT says is going in. And I was just told y'all would skip over the driveways. And of course, my neighbor has no driveway. And then that becomes an ADA compliant issue because you don't have a consistent surface and slope in that. Like I said, I have some concerns. My major concerns are over drainage. I don't have a problem now. We sloped our yard based on what we have now. And had I have known previously about the potential of the sidewalk, I guess it's going in, despite the homeowner's objection to it. And it's not just this side of the street, it's the other side of the street too. They're not happy with it either. And
Well,
I do have.
I don't mean to cut you off, but you're reaching the limit of the time we have available for you,
Okay.
Ms. Padlock. Let me point out a couple of things to you for your thoughts. I mean, you now probably know more about Pathways after having heard all this stuff that we talked about this meeting than you ever wanted to know. But the point I think I want to make, there's a couple. One is that this particular project has been on the books for years, probably as many as 8 or 9 years for sure. We've had numerous meetings about it. I've been in discussions at our own meetings, which are open to the public. People are, if you want to know what's going on, come to a meeting and you'll find out. Or read Rockport Pilot, I guess, or 2 ways to do it. So it's just a little late. Now, it would probably have been helpful if, instead of November, we'd, give y'all a heads up before then. But what we can't do with this project is try to fix something that's already there. If we don't want to make it any worse than it already is. So I'd encourage you to continue your dialogue, probably with the city. I don't know that the plan's already done. Engineering drawings are done, and that's what TxDOT at the moment is going to follow. So if it would be helpful to you, we can probably get your neighbors a set of those. I don't know, but anyway, John, when's construction supposed to start on this? Early next year? Early this year?
A bit, yes, sometime between now and spring.
Yeah.
The contract has been awarded. We owed TxDOT $80,000, $80,500, which should go out in the next week or two. And what I do want to make a comment is the project is designed to so the sidewalk is even with the surface of the dirt, so the water will flow over the sidewalk and into the ditch lines. And it's not designed to hinder surface water from draining. It's going to let the water drain right over it. And where we have swales in intersections, there'll be culverts to let the water run through the swales. So that's why we paid an engineer to go through and survey it and engineer it, design it to make sure it drains properly. And we do meet ADA compliancy.
Yeah, I'll second what John said, because I remember us discussing the issue of the water standing there, the drainage and the impact it would have. And at least we were assured that with the level surface with the present and with the culverts and such, that probably would actually improve drainage in that area.
Mm-hmm.
It calls for a 4-inch curb. So.
No 4-inch curbs. It's a 4-inch sidewalk.
Okay. Well, it does. I mean, I've looked at the plans and specs. My sons have done road and bridge for TxDOT. The engineer for TxDOT actually knew my son. So he took a look at them and he was a little concerned about it. Said he wouldn't build it that way, but that's up to y'all. Like I said, I know that there's already issues. I'm also worried about aesthetics for the neighborhood. People are concerned that, hey, this is going to be up in our yard. We don't have ditches right where I am. The across the street neighbor does, but there's also a drain there that goes nowhere. It just holds water. And then there's another one on North Street that just holds water. It doesn't go anywhere. We don't currently have any flooding. And I don't want to obviously have flooding, but Miss Taylor Gaines, she owns 3 properties that are on Live Oak Street and around to Bay. And she has some major concerns about that as well. She had water standing in her yard from this last rain and water standing in the street. So, and many of the neighbors did. So obviously that is a major concern for those neighbors. I'm not so much concerned for me. I would have sloped the grade of my house differently had I had known about this project. And yes, y'all had many meetings. I wasn't even aware of that unless they're posted. I don't read the paper and they're not posted anywhere else. And I know y'all didn't have a give the public a chance to discuss this or even, you know, have a meeting on it at all. And that, you know, concerned me somewhat. I know this project has been in the work, so I've been told, but I've been told two different things from the engineer and then from Mr. Strothman himself as far as what was going to be done and how it was going to be done. And that, in addition to my other concerns, raised more concerns as far as the construction of it. I do know a little bit about construction, so I'm not totally in the dark there. But, you know, I will see what happens when it goes in, because we've already got our asphalt driveway in. And I know that TxDOT has to either repair or replace at an equitable amount anything that they tear up. So like they tear up the driveway, they have to have equitable value either in the concrete or they have to reimburse us for the asphalt.
Yeah, John, can you just reaffirm with the TxDOT engineer what we believe that this is going to be at ground level, at present ground level, and not a 4-inch curve?
Yeah, and I'll go back and look at the plans, but these are all built per TxDOT standards. Everything we had to redesign to meet TxDOT standards. So all of this is TxDOT standard work.
Okay. Well, I guess we beat this horse almost to death today. I think there's, I was looking for some action items and you just got one for John. Kevin, is the city of, I heard a permit issue. I also heard right away or easement concerns when this first came up, when I heard about this week. Anything to say about any of that?
And no, she was given a permit to do the asphalt work that she did a few weeks ago. The right of way is there for this project, and as far as I know, there aren't any issues with the right of way.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. And
Tom,
yes, Pat.
Tom, I might add that the drainage is something that's been on our radar for years. And it was unfortunate that when the city was petitioned last October, we had several drainage projects that were in that certificate of obligation project. We're going to try to address and help not only the downtown drainage, but the South Rockport drainage. So we're hoping that when we put that on the ballot next May, that the voters from all over Rockport will support us and help us get funding to help South Rockport and downtown with that drainage issue.
Great.
Well, I
it
don't
sounds
think we'll
like
have a problem getting people on board for that as long as it's a separate item and not tied to something else. I think, you know, I can be on board for that, and I think you'll get a lot of people on board for that.
That's
well,
great.
it sounds like, as Paul Harvey used to say, stay tuned for news. It sounds like there's good things about to happen. Anything else?
Excuse me. So just one thing is a little sidebar, and John, I'd sent you the stamp prototype we had made for ARCAD in those sidewalks within the district. So that's just a little bit of a sidebar to remind that we will be moving forward with that.
No problem. We can set you up on the day you need to stamp them, so we can get them stamped.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so John, you'll be getting back with the folks involved with us.
Sure, I'll confirm that curb issue. Okay.
So let's move on to kayaks. Anything there?
You know, kayak sites are in great shape. They're in good shape. People are using them. no, there's no major problems out there with the kayak sites.
Okay. Grant committee?
No new grants.
No new grants. Okay. Signage?
Signage, the only thing I have, everything is in, everything, every sign that was lost in the storm is gone, is in. The only thing I have to do now is replace in the front entrance of the Connie Hager, there's 2 red signs up there that've been there. They were replaced and one of them is deteriorated from the sun. So we're going to replace that.
Thank you.
Any other comments on that issue? How about the last item we had here was approved depreciation. How are we doing on, Jennifer, were you handling that?
What?
The appreciation award that we talked about 2 months ago?
Deanna,
Deanna, okay.
we held that up right until the COVID's over.
Yeah, we had all plans to go forward, but then COVID, and we decided not to.
Okay. Did we go ahead with the plaque that we talked about?
No, we haven't done anything.
We can order one.
Yeah, we can order one, yes.
Well, someone did a design that apparently the committee was working on this was happy with. It wasn't just a plain old plaque. It had some other bells and whistles associated with it. I don't remember what they were, but Judge might go back and look. There's some correspondence on it.
Okay.
And bring that to us next meeting as to what that's actually going to look like before you buy it. And I think the committee ought to know what's happening there in kind of detail so that they're not surprised by anything. Any other business?
No.
Anybody else? Dee, you got anything?
No, not really. We need to decide when we want to have the next meeting. First question.
I just wanted to add one thing. I'm sorry, I came in late. I had another meeting that overlapped.
No problem.
I forgot you didn't talk, Sandy. Go for it.
Well, it's just a couple of comments. I wanted to let you know that we've been working on some press releases, and a lot of it has got to do with pathways. And so due to the pandemic, we're trying to take everything outdoors. So one of the press releases, Let's Take It Outdoors, has really picked up some steam. And another, I wanted to let Pam know that one of our spring fling riders has picked up the one on the History Center and about the bridge. So hopefully we'll be seeing some stuff out of that.
The spring fling happens in April.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Yes, April. Well,
April,
we're
okay.
hoping spring fling is going to happen.
Yeah, I
in
understand.
April.
It's all subject to.
Yes, but it is April.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
That's all I had.
Given that, do we want to set a meeting in February?
I think probably if it wasn't for a couple of issues that are around, we could avoid a February meeting. But I think Ms. Matlock's going to want to talk to us again, and so just to
I think
I'd like to understand.
February 9th.
9th?
Tentatively set a meeting, and if we don't have enough actionable items at that time,
Sure.
postpone it a month.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. If we
That
know we're
works.
not going to have a quorum, yeah. If we know we're not going to have a quorum, we don't need to have a meeting, right? Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else
thank
got
you.
anything?
Nope.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Don't move.
Second.
Go out and imagine you're in the snow.
I think we're adjourned. All in
All right.
favor?
Bye-bye.
Aye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank y'all.
See you.